it's Lorenzo. Happy Saturday to you. The weekend is here and it's time to give some much needed attention to some of my orchids. This guy, this Eria Javanica, I picked up at our Orchid Society meeting this past fall, and it came in this Tupperware here with leca beads. So to my knowledge, it's growing in some sort of a semi-hydroponic method. I'm really not very familiar with growing my orchids that way. I normally grow them in bark or sphagnum moss or some river stones, which I did recently with a Dendrobium kingianum. But I'm going to continue with this method for this orchid since it's already adjusted to growing in the leca beads. I'm really just going to clean up the orchid, make sure it's doing okay. It seems to be doing fine. Actually, I've got quite a few new leads on it, and move it over to a different container. So I picked up this container. It's kind of a nice looking container there. A little bit of a shallow bowl. And it's longer is what I really like about this new container, is it's longer than the Tupperware. And so I can spread out this plant over the course of the bowl instead of it all being compacted into the center of this Tupperware. So these are the two parts to the plant. They were all just kind of squashed together, but I kind of separated them so I could clean them up, work with them, and see what's going on. I'm really going to use the same media in this bowl. I'm just not going to use as much of it. And then I want to position them a lot better, because both of these divisions here were just really sitting on top, whereas I kind of want to put them all in line and maybe a little bit more flush with some of the media. And that way I have to use less water. I don't want to have as much water in there. The person I bought this from, her name is Kathy. She put some holes in here, so whenever I put water, I guess that's the limit. I'm just assuming that was the limit, so we can never overfill the bowl. So I need to make sure that I maintain that level of water, never really going past a certain point, so the roots are not always sitting in standing water of some kind, but are just kept moist. So I'm going to take that into consideration. But as you can see, the plant itself has quite a few dead bulbs to it. I'm going to assess these one at a time, because I know that even though some of them may look dead, they may be providing some sort of value to the plant or no value to the plant, and that's where I'll remove those ones. So there's some in there that are obviously pretty dead and shriveled up, so I think I could probably remove some of those. If they're questionable, I'll leave them. Again, I bought this for $5. It's kind of an experiment plant, but it's been doing really well since I purchased it and brought it home. As a matter of fact, this whole new lead here is brand new, and I think all of these right here are brand new as well. I'm sorry for the lighting here, but here's one piece. Look at how good that's doing. So it just really likes the media that it's in. It likes the space that I'm giving it, and what's really nice about this Tupperware that I'm hoping I don't lose with this is I think it, with the evaporation, really created some sort of like a little bit of a humidity chamber in there. And I hope I don't lose that. If I do, I may switch back to something similar with higher walls to it. So I'm just going to kind of monitor it and see how it does in the grow space that I'll provide for it. So to clean up the orchid, I'm going to use my clippers here. I've already sterilized them with alcohol, and this is just hydrogen peroxide. I did notice a snail that looks like it's dead in there already, but just in case there's other pests in this media, I want to make sure that I get them with the hydrogen peroxide. So I'm not going to bore you with the moving over of the plant and cleaning it up and all that stuff. So I'm just going to show you the final product, but this is the Eria Javanica, and I just did a little research on it. Again, I'm not very familiar. If any of you have this plant or know about it, please feel free to comment some care tips below. All I know about this orchid is it comes from Southeast Asia, I guess North India, Laos, Malaysia, southern China, and I guess areas that are more humid. This plant apparently likes to be in warm, humid temperatures, but also be kind of in the shade or get filtered sun at best. I read a couple of comments on an orchid page that this plant likes to grow in trees and enjoys being watered and then drying out and being watered and drying out. So this media unfortunately doesn't really lend to the watering and drying out. It's kind of will retain some moisture, but the way that I'm going to grow it here, it's going to be more of a humid environment for it since it's kind of being grown indoors right now. So we're going to see how it progresses over time, and hopefully this orchid, it seems to be pretty mature, will bloom this summer when it enters its blooming cycle. And I'll post some pictures if you didn't already see them, which I'm sure you did, in the opening segment. So here goes nothing. And sorry for the squeaking in the background, that's just Heidi, just over there, playing with her toys. So she's been keeping me company all day. Anyway guys, I'm going to move this pot over, clean it up, this plant over, clean it up, and I'll show you. Hey guys, so I'm back. Here is the Eria Javanica that I repotted into this bowl container. It seems to work out quite nicely. This new setup allows me to put the plant in a display across the media instead of all bunched up in the old Tupperware. So here's the actual old container that I got it in. As you can see, here's some of the old bulbs that I removed. They really weren't doing anything. They were not contributing to the health of the plant. If anything, they were probably going to hurt it in the long run. You can see there was really no substance to this. So it was well worth the repot. I took out quite a bit, and a lot of the old media is still in this old Tupperware. And this is what it looks like. So I reused the media that I had. I don't grow semi-hydroponic in any way. I don't have leca beads. This was kind of just a spur of the moment repotting little project for the afternoon. So to substitute for new media, I just took the old media out. I rinsed it really well, soaked it in some hydrogen peroxide to disinfect it, re-rinsed it, and then put it into this pot and arranged the orchid into 3 different little parts. I have one section here that came off quite easily. It really, this whole plant was not really held together except for the middle part. This larger piece of the orchid, I would love to actually separate it right here, but the roots are so intertwined between these 2 sections that I think that would actually hurt the orchid instead of helping it. Plus these bulbs are not completely dead. They seem to be contributing some sort of value to the orchid's health. This last little bulb on this side, or this area, it was connected to some of the dead bulbs that I removed. I have since cleaned it up. It's not as stable, but I pretty much propped it up pretty well in the leca beads, and this is the final product. It came out quite nicely. I have a lot of hope for this plant. It's done really well in my care. I actually want to say that it's grown quite a bit. As I discussed earlier, there's been a couple of new growths, new leads here and there, and to be honest with you, this whole section may actually be new leads. This one may be new, and that, I think this whole section is new that developed out of the old growth. So we'll see how this progresses, and as these bulbs mature, maybe I'll get some flowers this summer. The research that I conducted on this orchid tells me that it likes to bloom in the summertime. So I think as the springtime rolls around, I may move this to a warmer part of my house that's still shaded according to the care instructions that I read. But overall, I'm pretty content with the way this turned out. I think actually this bowl makes a great display, and it really allows me to show off the plant from many different angles. And as you can see, it kind of creates little zones for this orchid. So yeah, overall, I am pretty satisfied. I think this was a successful Saturday afternoon project. Let's see what I can dig up next. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any information on this orchid that you'd like to share, please comment in the section below. Other than that, I really appreciate your time to watch this video, and hopefully you'll tune in for more in the future. Until then, Happy growing!